Well, welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Steve Willits, and thank you to our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers. Steve, it's glad to have Sean Richards back for the year.
Definitely.
And, it's feeling like fall. We've got football games happening, the rain's coming back, and some wins.
Some wins. We didn't get those the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A little bit of a rough start to the season for the Edmonds School District football teams. That all changed on Friday for two of the teams anyway. One of which was Meadowdale, the Mavericks, a team that we've come to expect big things from over the last few years. A team that made it to the state semifinals just 2 years ago. The Mavs, rough loss to their opener in the season against Inglemoor, last-second loss, and then last week they didn't look very good against Shorewood. They redeemed themselves this past Friday, a 55-21 victory over Linwood. 8 touchdowns from 8 different players for Meadowdale, so I've got to think that they're feeling pretty good about that, so we figured why not bring 2 of their players into the studio to talk about not only the game on Friday night, but also the upcoming 2018 Meadowdale season. So without further ado, here is Alex Maxwell and Mason Vaughn from the Meadowdale Mavericks. The Meadowdale Mavericks football team picked up their first victory of the season on Friday night, 55-21 over the Linwood Royals, establishing themselves once again as maybe one of the teams to beat in the Wesco 3A South. And with us right now, 2 of the star players from the game the other night. Mason Vaughn, who plays defensive back, wide receiver, and now kick returner, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And Alex Maxwell, who has had a stellar career, 2-time All-Wesco offensive and defensive lineman, now entering his senior season and getting things done again in the trenches there. Guys, congratulations on a great victory the other night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Alex, I'm going to start with you first because you've been on the team a little longer here. This is a Meadowdale team that's had a lot of success over the years. Your sophomore year, you guys get to the state semifinals, and you certainly played a big part in that. Not used to being 0-2 to start a season, so I've got to think that you guys were pretty fired up to get to Linwood on Friday.
Yeah, it was a must-need win. Like, we got to win out because we want Wesco title, and can't do that if we lose.
Was it something that was, and maybe we'll ask Mason this question, did you guys talk a lot this week about how essential and how vital that Linwood game was, knowing that you'd already lost 2 games, even though they weren't conference games? Well, I guess one of them was, but you guys don't like to lose around there, do you?
No, we don't. Yeah, Leonard was emphasizing all week that, this is a must-win game, we have to go in this game we have to win if we want any chance to, get in the Wesco title or anything. So, yeah.
Sometimes playing non-conference games are a nice way to kind of work out the kinks and to kind of establish who you are and maybe work on some of the things you haven't been doing as well. What were the takeaways, Alex, from the first 2 games? What did you learn about the team? What did you need to work on? And what have you maybe done better since?
First 2 games. First game, I was like, wow, we're actually pretty good because we were showing up against a Kinko team, and I thought we were going to be pretty good, but beat Shorewood pretty easily, but that didn't happen. We rolled into that, couldn't tackle. But we've been working in practice on tackling, just running through. Finishing is our biggest thing that we need to do, and I think we did that last Friday, and that's why we won. As long as we finish, finish blocks, finish runs, all that, then we win.
And we should mention too that first loss of the season, you lost it in the last few seconds of the game, a 1-point loss to Inglemoor. So certainly nothing to hold your heads down about. But the Shorewood game was a little bit rougher, Mason. And do you think for the most part was it more of a mental and psychological thing? It's here comes Shorewood again, or was it just the team needing to kind of figure some things out?
Yeah, I think it was mostly a mental thing because we went into it because the Inglemoor game, I think we all played pretty good that game against Inglemoor. We lost by 1 point. So we went into Shorewood pretty confident, we should be able to beat them. But it was a surprise to all of us, but we just got to move forward and just forget about it.
And you move forward in a big way. 8 touchdowns from 8 different players, we might mention on Friday night. Alex, tell me a little bit about the trenches on Friday. How did your D-line played really well. You guys didn't give up any yards rushing in the first half. I think Linwood went into the half with either 1 or 0 yards rushing total. I've got to think that you and the fellas down there in the trenches were feeling pretty good.
Yeah, we kind of shut it down during that time. I mean, we got a lot of chemistry on that team. Compared to last year, I think, they're all young. But they all know each other, growing up with each other, so I think that's a huge part in why we're playing good. And
tell us a little bit about the line, because we had 2 of your line mates in here a couple years ago, and to say the least, Bryce and Brendan were kind of characters, so right? They were kind of outspoken and loud and like to have a little fun. Who are the linemen right now, and what kind of guys are they? Tell me first and foremost 2 that you're starting with right now.
All right, so our starters, left tackle, we got Alex Kruger. Left guard, we got Josh Schreiner. Center, we got Calvin Nguyen. Right guard, we got Chase Johnson, one of my best friends, pretty good. And then me on right tackle. I don't know. We're all about just communicating and getting business done. It's just that simple. I mean, yeah.
Go out there and take care of what you need to,
Exactly.
and get off the field. Then sounds like now. And I should ask you too. I'm kind of curious about this. Again, all Wesco tackle the last couple of years. A lot of times, teams will tend to put their strongest lineman on the left side. Do you prefer the right side, or is that something that the coaches have wanted, or why right tackle versus left tackle?
I think right tackle this year is because Hunter's left-handed. Because I knew they were gonna switch me if we had a different quarterback to left, but his blind side, so they kept me at right. So yeah.
And are you more comfortable on the right, or is it?
Yeah.
What is the difference for a tackle? I mean, how?
I feel way more comfortable putting my right hand down than my left. It's just awkward because I'm so used to right tackle. I've been playing it 3 years, starting on varsity. So
it worked out well that you have a left-handed quarterback.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about some of the skill position players, Mason. Again, you've had a great season thus far, but as we just mentioned, 8 different guys finding the end zone. Is there enough football to go around? I mean, are guys constantly competing as to who's going to get the touches, or how is that working?
I mean, yeah, we have a lot of good skill guys, Like Hunter, he just I see him surveying the field. He doesn't know who to throw to. We have so many good receivers and we have really good tight ends. So I mean, it must be hard for him to choose who to throw to. But
yeah, who are some of the receivers on the team that we're looking at right now?
Okay, so we got Tyler Gibson. He's a senior. He's really good. We got Cutter's tight end.
Cutter Boucher.
Yeah. We have Ray Free. He's a first-year guy just like me. Probably the fastest guy on the team, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely.
And that's saying something because this guy here can move a little bit.
You got Justin, got Los, Saeed. Am I forgetting anyone? No, just
Get most of them in there.
Yeah, we got a lot of good guys.
And maybe we should have the lineman here talk a little bit about the running game. Nate Hibbert, I know he had to change positions, and he just likes to play football, doesn't he? He's one of those guys that kind of gets down and dirty and just puts his shoulder down.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the first 2 games, our run game wasn't great, but I think Shorewood, we got 150, but the first game was terrible, 26 yards. And then in practice, we were just focusing on, lineman-wise, we gotta get movement, get to the second level, and that's what we did last Friday, and yeah.
Now, talk about each other for a moment here. Tell me, I know Mason's only played 1 year of football, but he's made a huge contribution to your team already, hasn't he? Tell me a little bit about what kind of a player number 35 Mason Vaughn is.
Mason Vaughn's a baller, I'll tell you that right now. I never expected from him. He didn't come out starting week 1, and then he just balled out. And then coach during film was like, Mason Vaughn, you're a starter and deserve it. And it was crazy, and he's just been balling out ever since.
Mason, for you never played football, or you haven't played since the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And multi-sport athlete, so I know it's hard to work all those sports in. Were you expecting to have this kind of success already, or I mean?
Definitely not. No. I went in just thinking I don't want to regret anything going out of high school, so I wanted to try football, and I did not expect this now. But it's been great. I love football.
And I think the team's happy that you came out too.
Thank you.
Alex here, all league lineman. We've already mentioned that. What's it like to play with number 55?
Well, I've been hearing about him for years, since before I played football. About how I heard about his college offers and stuff, and I knew he was good, but seeing him out there, it's crazy. He just dominates out there, especially on defensive, when he's sacking the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty fun to watch.
He's doing a little of everything. And we should mention, too, Alex, for your efforts not only on Friday night, but really for the last couple of years, we're going to name you the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week. Got an XL for you here, big guy, because I know as linemen, you need a little extra space there, so we appreciate that and everything that you've been able to do. As far as upcoming games, I guess you don't need to look any further than Friday, right? Edmonds-Woodway, the Warriors and the Mavericks, anytime these 2 teams get together, regardless of records, it's always a big one. Alex, I think we'll start with you since you've played in a few of these games. Jam the stands, 5 p.m. Friday night. What's that going to be like?
It's going to be huge. I mean, we had a big crowd last week, and I'm expecting even bigger this week. It's huge. We lost last year, and we're hungry for the win. We don't like to lose to Woodway.
What is practice like? And again, we're doing this on Sunday, so you haven't gotten there yet this year, but certainly from years past. Does it have a different feel, a different intensity to it when it's Edmonds-Woodway?
Yeah, everyone's just hype. Everyone's doing their jobs. There's no like messing around. It's straight business, and
And Mason, what's it going to be like for you? Because I know you've played other sports against Edmonds-Woodway, but
yeah.
first time playing football, first time being a participant in Jam the Stands.
Mm-hmm.
What are your expectations for this week?
Well, I just remember in the stands, like the last 2 years, like it was like super like hyped up, and like the crowd's getting fired up the last 2 years when I was there, and I can't even imagine what it's like to be on the field for Jam the Stands. But I think we have the best student section in Wesco, so I think they're going to get hyped.
Very cool.
It's going to be good.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this, Mason. I know you did get into the end zone, Hunter Moen catching you on a touchdown pass there, but you should have had two, right? Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Kickoff return, and I didn't realize this until you told me before we started videoing today. Your first kickoff return ever, and you took it to the house for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But penalty flag down. Take me through the play and then talk about a little bit about what it's like to look back as a kick returner and realize it's coming back.
Okay, so I'm on the sidelines, like the normal kickoff return goes out there, and then our coach, he's like, Mason, get out here, you're going to return the kick. And so like the nerves start coming up a little, you know? And so I go back to return the kick, and I fumble it, like I don't catch it cleanly, so it's already a bad start. So I'm like, oh great. So I just grab it and I start running, and I see a hole outside, so I just take it and I run it all the way to the end zone, and as I'm in the end zone, I turn around and I just see a flag on the ground, and I see Leonard screaming, and I'm like, oh, great.
Screaming at the referee, right? Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just like, great, it's getting called back, you know? But, I mean, that stuff happens. It's not a big deal. I mean, hopefully I can get one next week. So.
And I won't make Mason say it, and Alex has already mentioned it to us off air, so I'll have you say it out loud. It wasn't really a penalty, was it?
No.
Clean block?
It was very clean.
It wasn't you, we should mention, but one of your teammates.
Yeah, if you watch film, it's a good block. I don't know why they called it.
So we should have had Mason getting into the end zone on a kickoff return this week, maybe up on Friday night. I have a feeling after that play, you're going to be thrown back there a few more times. It's not your last kickoff return, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
So, again, great game for you guys. 55-21 victory over Linwood. Edmonds-Woodway, we want to get everybody out there. Friday night, 5 p.m. start time, so you need to get there a little bit early. And you need to get there early not only because the game kicks off early, but because those games get crowded.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of people in the stands there that night. So, again, Jam the Stands, 5 p.m. Friday night. Mason Vaughn, Alex Maxwell, guys, thank you very much for coming in, and we wish you guys nothing but the best for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having us.
Sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Must have been an exciting game to watch with all those touchdowns, and I understand Terrace got a win too.
They did. 31-8, a victory over Nathan Hale. Got off to a little bit of a rough start, not only on the season for Mountlake Terrace with their 2 losses, but the first quarter against Nathan Hale didn't look very good. I thought we were looking at maybe a 3rd consecutive loss, but the team woke up, ended up scoring 31 unanswered points over the final 3 quarters and getting their first victory of the season. So we brought 2 of their players in to talk a little Mountlake Terrace Hawks football. Another team that found success on Friday night over at Edmonds Stadium, also picking up their first victory of the season, the Mountlake Terrace Hawks football team. And with us right now, 2 of the seniors from that squad. Nathan Fox, who is directly to my right, middle linebacker and plays on some special teams. And then next to Nathan, cornerback Mustafa Baliki. Guys, congratulations on the victory on Friday night.
Thank you.
Nathan, I got to be honest, I was a little worried about you guys after the first quarter. Nathan Hale looked to be the better team. They were up 8-0. Were you guys worried at all at that point?
No, we weren't really worried. The coaches just said, you know, keep your head up. You know, it's just the first quarter. And then we changed our scheme a little bit, went back to our base, and then that's what helped us.
Mustafa, talk about that a little bit. Sometimes things we don't see up in the stands or up in the press box, subtle changes can make all the difference in the world, and it sounds like it was a pretty big one for you guys, right?
Yeah, so we started off with a 5-man front, which was something that we didn't really practice. It was just 1 week of practice. We didn't really know how it was going to go down, but logically, you know, a 5-man front should be pretty good to stop the run, but something just didn't click over there on the line or in the linebackers, so then we decided to go back to what we know best and just did the 4-man front, and then it started working out really well for everyone on the team. The DBs, linebackers, and the linemen, we all started clicking and making the tackles.
I think in the first quarter alone, you guys gave up like 90 yards of offense to Nathan Hale. I think something like 70 combined over the next 3 quarters. So yeah. Huge defensive performance. And Nathan, for you guys, when you're out there playing defense, I've got to think anytime you can shut a team down like that, it's a big thrill, right?
Yeah, it is a pretty big thrill.
And now for you personally, we were broadcasting the game for the Hawk Broadcast Network. Coach Dugan sent me the 2 deep, or what is the starting lineups for your team, as also the second stringers. You didn't appear on there anywhere, so I didn't know really much about you. And all of a sudden, you're out there making all these tackles, and we were calling your name quite a bit. Why were you not on the 2 deep this week?
On Wednesday, I had we were doing some Oklahoma drill with the linemen.
Which is a tackling drill, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know what happened. When I fell, when you tear tape kind of, I felt in my hamstring, so I wasn't really working. And then the next practice, I thought, oh, maybe it'll be a bit better, but then I tweaked it again, and so some of the coaches didn't think I was gonna play. And then Friday, I don't know what it got better, and then my position coach made me do some things and asked if I was fine. I said yeah, and he said they put me back.
So you really didn't even know up until game time whether or not you'd be able to go.
Yeah.
It's good to be young. You heal a lot faster that way. Mustafa, I've got to think it was nice to have number 54 back out there too, right?
Oh, yeah. Nathan's a baller, so before the game, we were like, oh, yeah, Fox, we're going to let Fox out the cage. So he came out the cage this week.
He came out the cage and made quite a few tackles.
Yes,
What's it like playing with him? Tell me a little bit about his game.
I've just been playing with him 4 years, so every game is a new experience with Fox. Just listening to this guy hype the team up. He's a great leader out there. Never lets anyone down. He sees people put their chin down. He says, we got to get back to it. Just focus in and make the play. He's always a playmaker. And
5'8", 180 pounds is what you're listed at. Not exactly the ideal size for a middle linebacker, yet you get out there and you get a little nasty when you get on that field. What do you do to get yourself motivated and ready to go for a game?
It's kind of just like the week of practice, this is just
get yourself up and amped up, and you're ready to go.
On practice, when we do team, we get pretty hyped, and then kind of how we practice is what we'll perform for the game.
Now the guy right next to you here, he plays corner.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Mustafa Baliki and what kind of a player is he? What kind of a teammate is he?
Mustafa's a good leader. If we're down, he does the same. He tells us keep our head up. Next play. And he's pretty locked down at corner, and he's a nice hitter.
Yeah, and tell me about some of the other guys back there hitting with you. It's you got a pretty strong secondary right now. Who else is back there in the?
Yeah, so right behind me at safety we have KP Kevin Pratt. He's a sophomore. He's pretty new, but he can lay a lick, and he's good. He's a disciplined player. And then right next to him at the other safety we have Brandon Bach. We already know Brandon Bach's a playmaker, and he's just a beast out there. And then on the other corner we have Dominic Latham. And that man he balls out. He's one of the hardest workers on the team, and he's always there on the play, and especially on offense, too. He makes plays on offense as well.
Definitely. Now tell me a little bit about the front seven on defense. Who else are we looking at playing with you on the line and maybe in the middle of the field?
So on my left, we have Dylan Brewer. He's our kind of outside linebacker, contain guy. And then on my right, I have George DeVries, and me and him are kind of the inside guys, but he has the outside, some of it too, and we hit hard. It's pretty. And then our line is pretty solid with Dylan is at end, and then we have RJ and Noah at D tackle, and they're pretty studs. And then we have Nath, who's our other DN, and he's pretty nasty.
And Noah, also the kicker. You don't see that very often. You're a big offensive lineman out there kicking. Do you guys give him a hard time about being a kicker as well as being a... Usually you think of kickers as being the smaller guys, right?
Yeah. No, he kicks pretty good.
Yeah, he does.
He has a really good leg.
He has a nice leg.
No, we got to see that on display a few times the other day. Yeah. As far as offensively, I know both of you guys play more defense than offense, but let's talk about that unit a little bit. 31 points the other night, 4 touchdowns, looking awfully good, and really getting it done on the ground. So maybe we'll start there. Nathan, why don't you tell me a little bit about that, because you do play some offensive line also. So a lot of the same names on the D-line that are playing offensive line, I would assume?
Yeah. So, our starting line is we have Noah at tackle, and then we have JP at guard, and then Alex Pollock at center, and then RJ, and it's been going off between Anthony Simmons and what's his name? I forget his name.
We'll figure that out here in a moment. We do have the roster here too for you. But so it sounds like the line's been doing some nice things. And the running game. I mean, some of these running backs that we're watching now. Tell me a little bit about the guys that have been running the ball this year.
Well, we started out with Jabre, and then he kind of got dinged up in practice, so they kind of promoted Sadu up, and he's pretty fun.
That's Traore, right?
Yes. Yeah. He was pretty fun playing with. He's a hard hitter too.
Oh, that guy has the biggest heart on the team. He never lets down. His legs are always pumping. He's always going. And He's a great leader on the team, and he's good for next year. He's a good leader for next year.
For next year, indeed, and a guy who's going to be there for the next 2 years, hopefully. Jordan Sims. Was
yeah,
very impressed with watching number 1 run the ball. Talk about him a little bit, Mustafa.
Oh yeah, that's my guy right there. He's always a hard hitter. He's always there for practice, ready to just get down to it, you know. And he means business. So when we're on the field, he's always pumping his leg just like Seydou and just going at it every single game.
Now, I know we don't get to see the passing team as much with Mountlake Terrace. They tend to run the ball more than not. But as a defensive back in practice, you see these guys quite often. And we've already known Jesse James Martineau. He's been starting off and on for the last few years now. Talk about him in the receiving corps and what we can expect from them when the ball does get put up in the air.
Oh, yeah. If the ball is up in the air, I already know the guys are going to go grab it. We got Dom and we got Brandon on the other side as receivers. Those guys can catch anything, and they just run the best routes, super fast, super clean, and they never give up. So I'm looking forward to the next few games and see what they can do.
And your next game, Anacortes, you're going to be at home on Friday night, 8 p.m. start time. The Seahawks, if you will, that's their team name. You guys are in a new division this year, a new conference, so not as much to go on in terms of scouting reports. You don't see the Meadowdales or the Linwoods or the Edmonds-Woodways anymore. For you, Nathan, is it exciting to see a new team?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see a new team than what we've seen the past couple years.
And what do we know about it? It's early in the week, but I guess kind of more word of mouth right now. Is that true?
Yeah, just what the players say. We kind of know like they're a run-heavy team. That's kind of what's been going around.
It's kind of what you guys know anyway. You're used to that. Mm-hmm. Now, what about you, Mustafa? I mean, as far as not playing in the Edmonds School District anymore, is it a little bit strange to know that you're not playing the Meadowdales and the Edmonds-Woodways? Or
yeah, it's a little different. You know, we're used to playing those big games against Woodway and Meadowdale and Linwood especially. We really missed the Linwood game, but you know, it was the change that we just all got used to, and we're just ready to play any team really.
And they looked ready on Friday night against Nathan Hale. Again, they outscored them 31-0 in the last 3 quarters, and would love to have a repeat performance of that against Anacortes. 8 p.m. start time over at Edmonds Stadium Friday night. Should be a lot of fun, and you get to watch these guys out there. Number 20 and number 54, Mustafa and Nathan. Guys, thank you very much for coming in here today, and best of luck to you and the Hawks the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Well, lots more football ahead, including a doubleheader at Edmonds Stadium on Friday.
Yeah, so both of the teams we just interviewed are going to be playing games there. Jam the Stands one more time at Meadowdale, Edmonds-Woodway.
Always a good game.
Yeah, or Jam the Stands or Stadium Jam, right? Is that what the Edmonds folks call it? So
I've never, we've been talking about this for years, and I'm still not quite sure I have it straight. But
you can just basically put this on a loop, and 2015, 2016, we always have the same conversation. But however you slice it.
Jam is in the word no matter what.
And it's always a fun game to watch. Those two teams always bring their best against one another. And we've had some close games over the years. The last 2, maybe not so much, but prior to that, always coming right down to the wire. So it should be a fun game to watch. And then 8 o'clock that night, Mountlake Terrace is hosting Anacortes. And we don't want to leave you guys out, Linwood Royals. They will be traveling over to Kirkland to take on the Juanita Rebels, 7 p.m. start time over there on Friday.
Okay, very good. And now we're going to shift to cross country, right?
Yeah, go figure. Edmonds-Woodway, right?
Yeah.
Edmonds-Woodway cross country? Who knew? Yeah, once again, they have a dominant team this year, and I know they were over on the on South Whitby, I think.
Yeah, the Carl Wessling Invitational, and I just happened to look up those results. I can report those. They had top 3 finishers for girls and boys. Well, top 3 as in 3, 4, and 5, but they did, the teams both won overwhelmingly, boys and girls. On the girls' side, we had Stephanie Robluski, Alyssa Hershey, and Ellie Gard, who were 3, 4, and 5 for the girls. And then on the boys' side, these names all sound familiar because I know we've talked about them in the past, right?
None of these runners, I think, are first-year runners. That's
so
for sure.
Again, 3, 4, and 5 on the boys' side: Diego Peraza, Dylan Hartono, and Lucas Lacambra. So congratulations to the Warriors.
Yeah, and Edmonds-Woodway, really, we could have even extended that list even further.
Yeah. There were many.
Yeah, they again have a whole stable of runners. They're going to be outstanding this year. I wanted to mix it up a little bit for the Player of the Week because Stephanie Robluski, she has a T-shirt from last year, and I have a feeling we'll be calling out some of these other names later on this year. But we're going to go Linwood this week for the Action Jackson Plumbing Female Player of the Week. We're going to give this to Christina Savinkova. I hope I got her name right there. She runs for Linwood. They had a meet against, I think it was Kamiak, Jackson, and Mountlake Terrace the other day. 43 runners, and she took 7th place overall. I know at the Seahome Invitational the previous week, she was in a field of 83 runners and took 15th. So, Christina, for your efforts over the last 2 weeks, we're going to make you the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week, and we've got a t-shirt coming your way, so we'll make sure we get that out to you. And again, congratulations to all the runners in the area. I know the Linwood meet that they hosted last week, I think that was in the pouring rain, and that's not going to be the last time. So running around the Puget Sound and the Pacific Northwest at this time of year has its own challenges. So for all the runners who are willing to brave the elements and to get out there and to perform, we commend all of you. But great job from all the names we just mentioned for Edmonds-Woodway and Linwood. It's been fun to kind of follow all of them over the years.
Yeah, and thanks again to Action Jackson Plumbing for sponsoring our Player of the Week. We really do appreciate their support as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so next on the agenda for sports, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, let's mention some girls soccer really quick. Two of our teams doing very well to start off this season. Edmonds-Woodway, another big surprise, right? We had a couple of the girls in studio last week. They are now 4-1 overall. They've won their first 3 matches for league play this year, so they're undefeated in Wesco 3A. Big one coming up next Saturday. They're going to be at Archbishop Murphy, 6 p.m. Murphy, new to the Wesco this year, so they just moved over this season. So that'll be kind of fun to see how Edmonds-Woodway stacks up with them. Meadowdale, overall 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. However, the more important stats, or the more important win-loss total in the standings, they're 2-0 in league play, so they've yet to lose one there. Their big match is coming up this week against Snohomish, and that's going to be at Edmonds Stadium, 7:30, I believe, on Thursday. So big one for Meadowdale coming up there against a Snohomish team that a lot of people think still could win Wesco 3A, although Edmonds-Woodway might have something to say about that after beating them last week. But a Snohomish team that is really loaded this year, so we'll see how Meadowdale does there. And then might as well talk some girls volleyball while we're rolling here. A couple nice victories this past week. Meadowdale beating Marysville-Getchell on Tuesday. And not to be outdone, Edmonds-Woodway also defeating a Marysville school, Marysville-Pilchuck, on Tuesday night. Meadowdale is hosting undefeated Stanwood, 7 p.m. on Tuesday this week. So that could be a good one, too, to kind of gauge where the Mavs volleyball team is right now. And then one more sport to mention, too.
Yep.
Tennis. Go figure. Another Edmonds-Woodway team, right? Edmonds-Woodway very strong this fall. And the tennis team is really looking good. They are 5-0 to start the year. Each time they go up against another school, there's 7 matches. So you win, you get a point for each win you have. Edmonds-Woodway so far this year has outscored their opponents 30 matches to 5.
Wow. So
5 different individual matches is all they've lost in their first 5 against their first 5 opponents this year. So Edmonds-Woodway really looking dominant right now, and we're saving them maybe until closer to districts, but we'll be talking about the Warriors tennis team quite a bit this year because they look like they are really, really strong.
Okay. Good deal. Well, I guess we can close with a reminder about football on Friday night, and of course all the other sports. Be sure to get out and support your local high school teams. You can find all of those scores and stats and schedules on wescoathletics.com.
And swimmers are going to be hopping in the pool this week too. We haven't had any of that.
They're just starting this week.
I think they had some of their jamborees, but this is the big week for them too. So
we'll catch up with you on swimming next week.
Definitely.
Okay. Have a great week, everybody.